Hello, hello. It's Katie, or rocking.kk on Instagram. So I wanted to do this quick follow-up, well, I'll try to make it quick, follow-up on doing UV resin. So there's been lots of questions, a lot of people having issues, so I'm going to try to address that right now. So number one, you want to make sure that the temperature in your house is above 70 degrees. Resin likes to be around 75, so I know that's not real possible in my house, but in some people's houses, if you like your house warmer, it's better. So UV resin still requires certain things, like 2-part resin, and that's the temperature. You're still going to deal with bubbles if your rock is cold, because if your house is cold, your rock is cold. So I am using an 84 watt Joy T lamp, and if you use a lamp that is less than 84 watts, it's going to take longer to resin. And if you're using a different brand that's 84 watts, it could take different amounts of time to resin. If you're using a lamp that's over 100, it's going to take less time, but it's going to take time to figure out. If you have something different than this Joy T, you're going to have to figure out what works best for that particular lamp. So also, another thing I want to show you is there's lights underneath here. So if you have a rounded rock and it's just sitting down on the table like this, and you put the lamp over, those lights can't hit the sides of the rock. So therefore, I take one of my small 3/4 inch Santorinis and I put it on top. That way those lights can accurately get the resin on the sides. And then I put the lamp on it and then I run it. Typically, I have to run it twice. If I put the resin on a little more thick than usual, I have to run it 3 times. Also, if it feels a little soft, like it's not rock hard like a 2-part resin, leave it overnight. The next morning, it's going to be harder, I promise you. I have experienced this myself. Now, I do still use 2-part resin when I have a big batch. I like using this when I need something resined quick. I've been using it on and off, especially for hiders. If I want to go take a rock here or there, I can resin it the night before. The next day it's ready to go. I like to leave it overnight just so that it sets and it's ready. But I haven't tried shipping one without letting it wait at least 3 days. So I don't know how it would do. You just have to be careful. Like on 2-part resin, I leave my rocks for 7 days before shipping, or you can end up with indentions in your resin, or who knows what else. If you wrap it in bubble wrap, then you're going to get those indentions. So I'm going to show you real quick how I do this. Now, you need your Mr. Resin. Now, if you have a different UV resin, I can't tell you how that's going to work. The Mr. Resin, the smaller bottles are out right now on Amazon. They're working on getting bigger bottles, or more smaller bottles out, but all they have is big bottles. So if you get a different type of resin than Mr. Resin, it's possibly going to work differently. So you'll just have to play around with it and see what works for you. Also, when your rock is under the light, you want to make sure that your bottle is away from the light. Even though it's in a dark bottle, it can still start hardening this and curing this, and we don't want that to happen. So you might possibly still need a torch. I prefer a torch over a heat gun. The heat gun blows the resin around, and I'm not real crazy about that, but I like my torch. Now, I have not tried a blow dryer or anything like that, but I think it would do the same as far as blowing the resin around. The torch is not always necessary. It's only if you see bubbles in the resin. So, gloves and a mask, because you definitely want to be protected. It is resin, and you want to protect your lungs. Okay, I'm gonna get my gloves on and get my mask on, and I'll come right back. Okay, I might sound a little bit like Darth Vader, but I'd rather be prepared and have my mask on. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. And typically I start with the back first, but for time purposes, we're gonna pretend like the back's done. And I'm gonna do the top. Now I've already done a matte spray just in prep because I wrote with a gel pen on top of this foil and I don't want it to smear. So I did do a matte spray. So you take your Mr. Resin, and I got this tip from Shelly Clark, Sizemore. I start in the middle and I just go in a circle all the way out to the edge. Go ahead and cap it and put your bottle away. Now, I'm going to hold my rock with one hand. The other hand I'm going to use to smooth. And I'm going to do this very lightly. There's no need to press your finger in really hard. The more you manipulate it, the more bubbles you're going to have. I'm keeping it real thin around the edges because I don't want that ledge that you can sometimes get. Because this is not self-leveling like 2-part resin. So wherever you put that resin, that's where it's going to be. And also you want to make sure that every spot is covered, because if there's a hole where resin didn't get put on, it's going to show. So you want to really look at it. I'm going to, oops, sorry. I'm going to stand up and really look at this. Okay, I don't see any spaces, and honestly, I don't see any bubbles. So I think we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and wipe my hands off. And actually, just for the sake of showing you, I'm going to go ahead and run the torch over the rock just to show you what I do. I do have this on a piece of parchment paper. Move this over just a bit. And I have a little bit of a fire there. And I'm just going to go over that rock and try to pop any bubbles that might be there. I'm going to let it sit for a second. And then I'm going to put my light over. Plug it in. And I'm going to run it for 2 cycles, and then I'll come back. Okay, that is 2 cycles. I'm going to pull it out, and it came out perfect. There's no stickiness on the sides. Now, if it doesn't have a really hard feel to it like 2-part resin, just let it sit overnight. I don't do anything with my rocks the same day. I let them sit overnight and then I give them away or whatever I'm going to do with them. And that's all there is to it. So if you're having any problems, don't hesitate to send me a message and we'll troubleshoot. Because this stuff works, and it works really well. And I'm super, super happy with it. It definitely works in a pinch. So thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all have a great, great day.